You're welcome back to Good Morning Anambra this beautiful Thursday morning. And the topic we'll be exploring this morning is reducing the widening gap in Nigeria's poverty index. And with us in the studio this morning is Mike Odumodu. Mike Odumodu is a financial expert. Good morning, Mike. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Good morning, viewers.
We also have Nonso Ekesiobi. He's a lecturer with the Department of Economics, Chukwuemeka Odumegwu University, Ibaria. Nonso, good morning.
Good morning.
All right, like I said, what we'll be exploring today is reducing the widening gap in Nigeria's poverty index. Well, a report from the World Bank titled A Better Future for Nigerians 2022 Nigeria Poverty Assessment noted that the number of poor persons in Nigeria will rise to 95.1 million in this year 2022 against what we have in 2019, that is about 8.0 million. Now, it means that 6.1 million more persons would have fallen beneath the poverty line between 2020 and 2022. All right, with this projected 2022 figures, the number of poor persons in Nigeria has had a 4-year increase of 14.7% from the 2018/2019 figure of 82.1%. Now, you agree with me that this increase is actually massive. Of course, and it's scary. It's scary, and it keeps increasing by the day. Nation Nigeria, no so.
Poverty is not anywhere. So when you have such a significant increase within the short of time, it calls for concern, and we are developing this habit of treating poverty-related figures as mere. We are talking about people with livelihoods, people with families, people with visions, people with dreams. And when they cannot, live life to the fullest, with their potentials and their capabilities and their capacities, it's very sad. And like the World Bank report you alluded to, it's very pertinent that that's like it's supposed to be a wake-up call for us as a country, because the issue of poverty alleviation or addressing poverty as it is not something begun with this administration. If you go back in time, you find out that we've been having one kind of poverty alleviation education policy from government to government, and I think of this government's alleviation approach is the creation of the Ministry for Humanitarian Affairs and all the likes. So the gap is widening. Why it is so? Because traditionally, yes, we used to have about 80 to 80 million persons living in poverty. Then, of recent, the data World Poverty Clock and it made it known that Nigeria became capital and record aiming for. So even the data we are even talking about in terms of the poverty, there is still some sort of disagreement between the federal government and bodies like the World Bank. Why the federal is saying that its intervention programs are actually
I wanted to ask
reducing
that intervention program.
But I'm sick of, we'll still get there, but I'm just trying to say that even the figures, if you look at it critically, the figures may be worse than they appear, considering what is going on in the economy. So if you look, if you study the data, if you look at the data, you see that it's not so pleasant. Nigerians are, when you box everything into poverty, it looks as if it's very easy. When you decompose poverty into various components, like for instance, we have what we call food poverty. Nigerians are suffering really from food inflation. And what is bringing about food inflation, rising prices in food, because of what? There's a problem with our agricultural productivity due to certain factors around us. We have what we call energy poverty. Yes, look at what amount of electricity is available to Nigerians. How many people have access to electricity? How many people have access? How many people can afford, cooking, clean cooking, kerosene, gas? You know what the prices are with energy. We have what we call a multidimensional poverty, looking at poverty across various dimensions in terms of access to healthcare, education, and so on and so forth. So there's another one we call generational poverty, where the poverty of a particular generation can spill over to 2 generations to come if nothing is done about it. So, we have urban poverty, where those in the urban areas, because of the cost of living you have in urban areas, you see them living in very deplorable environments where they have sanitation problems, security problems, all sorts of social vices. The same thing with the rural poverty, where they are excluded from access to electricity, information, ICT, healthcare, education, and so on and so forth. So there are many. So if you go beyond these numbers you are looking at, you will see how disturbing the poverty situation is in the country.
All right, Mike, let's come over to you. Now, this development, this figures, because we are working with what we have now, these figures now is coming after the federal government, just like you mentioned, have already said that they brought out so many people out of poverty. They had so many interventions. We're talking about lifting 10.5 million Nigerians out of poverty, and also other interventions like million job, about 1 million job they created between 2015 and 2020. Now, with all this intervention from the federal government, we are still here today. Now, does it mean that they are not doing it right, or does it mean that they are not telling us the truth?
Thank you very much. Yes, the issue about poverty is a thing that is not hidden, even from the layman.
Yes.
Poverty is not hidden from anybody at all, no matter how illiterate that person is. When there is poverty, there is poverty, and everybody notices it. It's not issue for professors or for the academia. It's issue for everybody. So the poverty in Nigeria is something everybody is seeing. If you go to buy akara now, one akara ball goes for about 50 naira or 100 naira, which used to be either 10, 20 naira. You want to buy yam, you see the cost of yam. You want to buy this, you see so it's not anybody telling us that he has done 10 million job, he has done this, he has done that. What's important is that the World Bank and even Nigerian Statistical Bureau, they also bring out information on these areas. So certainly Nigerians are poor, and the gap is widening. Even the 95 billion that are saying that are poor, to me, I'm sure that figure might not be actually correct, by the World Bank. More Nigerians are poor. Because the people that are not poor in Nigeria are the only politicians. I feel there are mainly major politicians and a few others. And how many are the politicians? So every other person in Nigeria is poor. For us to know about exactly the position, you look at the figure, then you look at the inflation. Inflation some time ago was at maybe 4 or 5 years ago was 12%. This year, 2022, inflation rate is 19%. So if it is 19%, and the government agrees that it is 19%, they don't need to argue on any other thing. So actually the poverty rate is widening. And because that is majorly because the government is not doing what they should do. There are certain things government should do. Prioritizing, without there is a lot of corruption There's a lot of corruption that is, smearing us in the face. Yeah. The other time you hear...
Okay, we still get to that, the reasons why we are at this point. Hello, good morning.
Okay.
Good morning. Tell us your name and your location, please.
Hello?
Okay, please, if you want to call us, just reduce the volume on your television set or move away entirely from where it is located. Now, let's look at some of the reasons why we are in this state today, because the same report said it's as a result of COVID-19. That's what we are, what has actually aided this poverty, the increase in poverty rate in Nigeria now, and also growing population. Do you agree with that? And what are other reasons that actually made this rise to keep, going up by the day, the numbers to keep going up by the day?
Traditionally, what has been driving poverty in Nigeria is there are a lot of factors, like macroeconomic factors, what is happening to inflation, interest rates, exchange rate. For instance, in terms of inflation, you know that another way of measuring poverty is how much you spend. You look at what households are spending their income on. When households spend 50 to 60% of their income on food alone, they have little.
Just hold your thought there. Hello, good morning. Good morning. Tell us your name and your location, please.
Hello, good morning. Good morning. My name is Ruth.
Ruth, go ahead.
My name is Ruth. I'm calling from River State.
All right. Go ahead, Ruth.
So, what you are saying, for the point of view, things that cause poverty in Nigeria, from my own view, because I'm a youth, because of we don't have infrastructures. And mainly our politicians, they are looting our money and they're sending it. They cannot even use it to build infrastructures for the youth, so they can be able to employ.
All right.
So like I was saying, when you have people spend a large chunk of their income on food alone, it means that they cannot afford other things that make life enjoyable. And that is where we are looking at. Then you mentioned population. If our population is growing at the rate of 2.6% per annum, for instance, our growth rate of the economy should be above that, or at least be at par with it. But when we are struggling to record growth figures of over 1.5%, then there is a mismatch between what the number of persons the country has to cater for and the resources it needs to cater for them. Then I was mentioning traditional causes of this inflation, poverty we have in the country. I want to add that of unemployment, that of corruption that has been taking place. What is happening to unemployment is another scary thing. People are just graduating, looking for jobs. People don't have access to a lot of things that can make them, capable and productive. She mentioned infrastructure, amenities, and the rest. But these things are what traditionally we used to ascribe to poverty. But within this space now, what is causing the poverty gap, as it were, to widen? I want to add, in addition to COVID, from 2000 to 2022, we had about 5 million persons, move into poverty just because of COVID. Then we also have, worsening situations in terms of climate change that is forcing, people, towards the south and making the competition for land very difficult. And again, increasing conflicts in the country, where we have, like I mentioned now, this farmer headers crisis, insecurity that can prevent people from going to farms, for fear of being killed or kidnapped and the rest of them. And the thing that is affecting the country generally, investors are moving away. Many companies in the country are closing down. Like this ceramic factory that they have somewhere in Kogi, that the expatriates who work there were kidnapped the other day. Most companies now are shutting down, and people, yes, most IOCs, international companies, oil companies are divesting. It's not that our petroleum industry has become so wonderful that Nigerian marketers are coming in. No, these people just want to pack up and leave. They want to cut down any, they are looking at damage limitation. So when people are leaving, and that is a message to potential investors to shy away from the country, to avoid coming here. So when those investments are not coming, and the existing ones are closing down, and they are not just closing down due to the conflicts I mentioned alone, but the worsening economic situation. Look at what is happening to the exchange rate. International airlines are saying that they will be avoiding the Nigerian airspace. Why? Because they cannot access dollar and the rest of them. So how will those investors come into the country?
Hello, good morning.
Yes, this is Mr. Okechukwu, and we're calling from Jos.
Mr. Okechukwu from Jos, Plateau State.
Yes,
good morning
Jos,
and welcome.
Yes, Plateau State.
All right, go ahead.
The issue of poverty index in Nigeria is just too, conspicuous. As long as the government of the day is not doing what is right, definitely poverty rate will increase. For instance, if Nigeria remains a consuming nation, there's no way poverty rate will be reduced until Nigeria becomes a kind of producing nation, just like our incoming president, by the special grace of God, His Excellency Peter Obi, has always said that
we are not campaigning here, just so you know.
Notwithstanding, another thing that can actually make poverty rate to increase is whereby the population growth. When the population grows, weighs the resources in the country. If the government of the day does not discover the means of resources that will equate the population rate, definitely what they expect, population rate, poverty rate will increase. For instance, in Anambra State, Anambra is blessed with a lot of talent, youth. But it baffles me that when you go to Anambra, you see a lot of youth wallowing up and down, doing nothing because they have not discovered their talent, and the government of the day has not really helped the youth to discover their talent. A lot of resources on tap, but they leave Anambra to Lagos. Lagos is crowded, and Lagos is no longer giving them anything again. And most people that are there now, they are just wallowing up and down. It is time for people to go back to their roots and discover their talent, discover the resources that are there, and start it very, very well.
Okay, are you from Anambra State?
The government of the day, by next year, that we pray that Peter Obi should come to, all right, be the president, even though we are hearing that APC wants to rig it, but we don't want that.
All right, thank you so much for your contributions.
We don't pray that they rig it, and the P2B comes.
Thank you so much for your contributions. But just so you know, we are not here to campaign for any particular candidate. Now, we are all we are saying is that everyone should just get his or her PVC ready, and on the day of the election, you go there and vote for anybody that you want to vote for, and that's what we are saying. So please, if you call us, just go straight into discussion. Tell us your own contribution and don't campaign for anybody. Thank you so much. All right, you want to add something? All right, go ahead. Now let's look at. He made mention of a whole lot that can actually contribute to this widening gap. Now, the thing is, let's talk about the government, harsh government policies, and also the fluctuating exchange rate of our currency.
Thank you very much. Yes, the exchange rate and the government policies, if you look at the exchange rate, certain things are hidden under the camera when we come to this government. And let me go back to our various governments before. We are talking about widening poverty in Nigeria. It has been there. It has been increasing. It was just increasing gradually, and it has come up to these 95 million people, as we are saying. It's not something that started today. in the 70s or 80s, there was a man that had Sonny Okosin. He was saying, which way Nigeria? It was a song by Sonny, which way Nigeria? As at that time, which way to go? That after many, many years of independence, that we are still finding it hard to start. So, knowing that those periods we were under poverty, now the thing has escalated to this magnitude. So, coming to what is happening in Nigeria and on the exchange rate, certainly we don't have one exchange rate in Nigeria, and many people don't know it. You have about 3 or 4. You have the one they call official exchange rate. People are going there, and even the official exchange rate, before you can access foreign exchange, it is so difficult. Then we have the black market. So it is the same Central Bank of Nigeria that practice and apply all these exchange rates, which is not supposed to be so. So today we don't know actually what the exchange rate is, because we are using the black market to adjudge our exchange rate, which is not what it should be. So the reasons for poverty are so many, and they are glaring us in the face. When the government becomes sincere, because they talked of COVID affected every other country in the world. It's not only Nigeria. So it affected Nigeria and all other countries in the world. So COVID is not an excuse. It has been there. But the issue is that within this regime, the poverty is just on a fast track. And if they don't do anything about it, it's like it's a fight to finish. Because when you look at the inflation, the exchange rate, and when you're paying a worker that is being paid maybe 30,000 naira, when the inflation was 12%, and now that the inflation has gone up to 19%, what can the worker do with the money? So you see that the person is not having any money. That person is virtually not having money. That person is poor. So is the government not aware of it? You look at the exchange rate. When the exchange rate is the black market, and somebody sources foreign exchange from black market to go and buy something from abroad and comes back, that person will just certainly place it within that margin so that you will make some profit. But if it is the official exchange rate that is available to importers, when they go and come back, certain things will be, the commodities will be low. So there are so many things that is causing all these problems. Is it the National Assembly issue? If you do the budget for Nigeria and you look at it, about 70% goes to individual pockets. And we are battling with the other 30 or even less than 30%. So there are uncountable things that the government is doing that is causing, pushing people to poverty on daily basis. So government just have to prioritize. They have to be sincere. We can't be talking about 80 billion, somebody is missing somewhere. Snakes are swallowing money. Many things are happening in Nigeria. And government is, when people talk or when organizations like World Bank talk, government will have their mouth to begin to argue. You don't argue because the position of World Bank is even palatable as far as the government is concerned. They are almost on the side of the government, telling them, it's a way of telling them that there is danger. Because if the World Bank should be sincere, it's not even a World Bank. We have the Fish Commission. There are other people that can assess what happens. There are other groups in the world that can assess what...
That's how we are going to service our loans.
And servicing the loans, we have been borrowing and borrowing and borrowing. And China, before you know it, they will come in and begin to control both the army, the police, the central bank.
China said, I saw it on the papers yesterday, that they are going to forgive some African countries. So hopefully Nigeria will be one of them. We'll continue that discussion. Let's go for a street walk.
If they will do so.
Let's go for a street walk and know what people have to say about what we are discussing this morning. Stay with us. The
most powerful empowerment we can give our youths or any person, I think it starts from education. Because most times you find out that what we gain from our universities, most times we can use them to create jobs. But if our government funds in research, puts their funds in research and in education, I think the quality of our educational system is going to improve. And if it improves, you find out that it's going to take lots of person out of poverty. That somebody can come out from the school immediately and with the skill that you obtained from school, you can use it to start off something. I think it is a way in order to alleviate poverty in our society.
The empowerment of the youth is just about changing the economic policy of the country. When every economic policy of this nation is geared towards favoring the rich, that is why the rich gets richer and the poor in this country gets poorer. So it's about tilting a little bit the economic policy so that you can bring the economic policy closer to the poor and the vulnerable. In more advanced countries, that is what they do. They have what they call social safety networks. These social safety networks help the youth in those advanced countries to be able to have something to do, or to empower them, give them soft loans, give them little empowerment that will be enough for them to have something at hand and be able to do something with it. Empowerment in Nigeria is about giving people peanuts, and by the time that peanut will even take that person home. It's a very little amount of money, but when you want to empower people, want to empower youth in this country, or the poor vulnerable people, make sure that the empowerment or the grant you want to give after training that particular person in an aspect of skills and acquisition, then that person will go on with enough grant to give that person. So that is it.
It is essentially the government responsibility to improve the general living condition of the people they aspire to rule, not just sit in the office for their own convenience. So our government needs to do more, especially in areas like agriculture, areas of small-scale industry that do not require so much capital outlay to engage people on, but it can sustain people, at least give them those basic needs of life. If government can think less, if those in government can think less of their personal comfort and think more, they can go a lot more to reduce the abysmal and the unacceptable level of poverty. And this poverty is the main breeding ground for this high level of insecurity in the country. Because if our youth are gainfully employed, there will be no need for them to engage in some of these social vices that is threatening our corporate existence as a nation.
When you talk about the reduction of poverty, especially in a country like ours, there are many ways. There are a lot of ways that we can empower people to reduce the rate of poverty. And some of that ways have been neglected. First of all, we talk about education. Okay, look at now the students are on strike. The government is not giving any important attention on education. We can see that when people are knowledgeable enough, then people can be empowered. Knowledge, information, education is the key factor to empowerment. But in a country where education is not being given the first seat, it is always a problem.
All right, you're welcome back to the show. We've heard people's opinion concerning the widening gap in Nigeria's poverty index. And a whole lot of people mentioned empowerment of the youth and also investing in the education sector. Now, even the last person that spoke is saying that when people are empowered, like when they are given the requisite knowledge in schools, that they will be empowered when they come out of school, that they will know what to do and maybe earn a living for themselves. But we have this high rate of unemployment in Nigeria. We have a whole lot of people that went to the universities and they are graduated and yet they are still unemployed. And I mean, so how do we do that? Is it that there are some courses we need to introduce in schools to make people to, be more knowledgeable on how to make money when they come out from school, even if they don't get any white-collar job?
Well, Nigeria needs serious structural reforms, and those reforms cut across major sectors. I was looking at, the challenge of this poverty we are talking about, and one thing we are overlooking again is that we are focusing on those people who have been declared poor. either either a money using a monetary mechanism or a qualitative mechanism as to how the kind of quality of life they enjoy. But there's another group that we are missing: those who are vulnerable to poverty, those people who are at the verge of entering poverty. That figure is about 40 million. Yeah. So if what is going on in the country continues maybe beyond 2023, the number we're having, like he said, the 90 million is an understatement as far as we are concerned. So when people are poor, what coping mechanisms do they go into? You find out that, some will cut down from 3 square meals to maybe 2 or 1. And again, the quality of what they are eating again. So you talk about basic nutrients and the effects on learning, on physical outcomes like what we have now, that people are developing stunted growth and stuff like that. And what are people doing to cope with increase in energy, kerosene, gas, and the rest? You see, all these things, when you cannot, how are they coping when they cannot afford to send their children to school, when they cannot afford health care? They begin to look for alternatives. Either they go to prayer houses, or they start taking alternative medicines that are not clinically tested, and a lot of other challenges. So the reforms we are talking about are reforms that will rejig the system, sort of. One of which is when we talk of diversification of the economy, we keep, almost everybody has been singing diversification of the economy.
People that don't even understand what it means.
To diversify. And again, when these reforms should also come into the educational sector, in the sense that, one, what are the courses we are doing today? How does it reflect with what is going on in the labor market? What the employers, what producers need? Are those courses, or is the curriculum still designed in a way where people are just go to be taught without the requisite the practical component that will make them to be able to transform whatever course you have read, to commercialize it, to make it a money earning venture? So, and again, or those that are already working, what of their conditions? Some states, when somebody mentioned leadership the other time, though he was campaigning, which is not part of why we are here, but leadership is also a contributor to poverty, because the kind of leadership you have either exacerbates the poverty situation or lessens it. But in our case, a report by Budget the other time showed how many states that have not paid salaries for over how many months. And some were instead of them being ashamed, they know now is more than. So when you won't blame them when they tell you school na scam, because they want to go, what do they have to show for it? When you're owing them, you're owing their parents. And what is all those things driving at? It's either they go into crime, like some persons have said, or they start leaving the country. I know on a weekly basis, I'm not telling you monthly, on a weekly basis, I as a lecturer, I write reference letters for past students who want to leave this country, at least 10. So I now ask, where is everybody going to? And some will even tell you, sir, you better come and join us, so there's nothing going on here. So if we all leave, who will stay back? And when you worsen this poverty situation, still coming back to leadership, people will now have no choice than to sell their votes during election. So all these things are things that when we are talking about reforms that will transform a lot of issues, the employment system in the country, so that people can hold jobs that can lift them out of poverty. Only 17% of Nigerians are in jobs that can lift them out of poverty. Others are doing either casual jobs or menial jobs that will just sustain them. So how do we transform? How do we make employment in farm activities, agricultural activities, more to keep people longer and make it more rewarding for them to engage in these things? What are we teaching? Then our social our cash transfer program of the federal government to vulnerable people, 5,000. We should go beyond that. That is not what we live. It's good though. It's commendable. At all. is commendable, but we need to go beyond that because the government has an ambitious aim of lifting over 100 million people out of poverty by 2030. Is it by giving them 5,000 naira that you will lift them out of poverty?
All right. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Tell us your name and your location.
Peter speaking from Yola, Anambra speaking.
From Yola?
Yes.
All right, go ahead.
This issue of poverty you are talking is a deliberate act done by the politicians because they want everybody to be weak to enable them by them during voting. As said by Yaman there. So this issue is a deliberate attempt to weaken everybody in Nigeria. So during the election time, they can buy. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. She's saying that is a deliberate act. Well, everybody is entitled to his or her opinion, actually. Now, the same report from the World Bank is saying that Nigeria might find it difficult to, reduce this widening gap in poverty because of constant insecurity in the country, violence here and there in the country. Do you also agree with them on that?
Yes. Certainly, once there is a insecurity in a place or like in a country or crisis, you can't move forward because the case of Nigeria is like a war situation, and it has lasted for a reasonable length of time. So we cannot move forward with crisis in the country. But what I want to tell the government and even World Bank is that the government has the capacity to fight crime. They have the capacity to stop it. Because some administrations before now, when this thing started, they were able to, they were fighting it. When a section of our people started complaining and crying that they are doing this, they are killing their people. And when this government came in power, that was when the thing became either it became politicized or it became much in the country that almost every time you hear Chibok girls, you hear the other one, you hear train people that hijack the train. You can't move from one place to the other. Even around here, you begin to hear of non-gunmen and all that. But I am saying that those things are things government can stop. Government can fight them. It's not something that will be indefinite. So if it continues, there won't be much progress. And like somebody, the caller said that the poverty is something that is a man-made, or use one word to qualify it. We can't just be watching these things happening because in other countries, all these crises are there and they control it. So the government should apply.
Sorry. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Your name and your location.
My name is Abraham and I'm calling from Sokoto State.
Abraham from Sokoto. Go ahead, Abraham.
Yeah, I want to say good morning to all guests in the house. And I'm impressed hearing them saying their vital contribution. I want to really point out the fact that I totally agree with the fact that insecurity has made this poverty gap so widened to the extent that the masses are really dying of hunger. So I believe if there's security like the way we have in Anambra State, you can see opportunity like Anambra has the most largest brewery company in Anambra, which in that place creates more job opportunity for the masses over there in Anambra. If we can have it all over Nigeria where we have all of these resources, I believe in no time the poverty gap will be reduced and things will be back to normal. Right. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your contributions this morning.
Yes, to add to what Abraham said and what I have been saying, the insecurity is one of the major causes. It's one of them because there are many others. Because people don't go to farm from Sokoto to Katsina to Kaduna to Kano to Maiduguri and many other places. People, even to Anambra here, Benue, Kogi, everywhere in Nigeria. People don't go to farm because of insecurity. And when you don't go to farm, even our parents that are at home, farming, or companies that are farming, because there are some areas you go and see companies that engage in agricultural work. If they don't work, what are we going to eat? That is the problem today. Look at the price of one tuber of yam that used to cost 200, 300 naira. When you price it now, they say 1,000 naira or 1,005. It's because people don't go to farm. The little one that did it, when they bring it, they have to cover the cost of that farming.
In other words, what you're saying is for us to increase our agricultural produce, you need to tackle
insecurity. Yes, we have to tackle insecurity for everything, but for agricultural produce, we have to tackle insecurity. Because on the side of agricultural produce, it is insecurity that are causing it majorly. On the side of other items that are imported, it is exchange rate that is causing it. Generally, the inflation is contributing its major quota. So we must fight insecurity. To be able to buy a cup of beans at usually 30 naira used to be, or 50 naira.
No, it's 150
but
naira.
now it's what?
Hello, good morning.
It's a terrible situation.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Your name and your location?
I'm Nwachukwu. I'm calling from Zamfara State.
Nwachukwu from Zamfara State.
Hello?
Go ahead, Nwachukwu. Okay, Nwachukwu, you need to call us back. So we want to hear your voice this morning, Nwachukwu. All right. Now, some of the people that talked on the television, some of the people who were interviewed, they talked about making policies that will not make the small-scale business to suffer. Now, ease of doing business in Nigeria, and also the power sector, making power, stabilizing power in the country, that it will go a long way helping us to, decrease this widening gap in the poverty index in Nigeria.
There's poverty in our policy making as well.
Okay. Okay.
Because starting from the power sector, I remember, I think that was 2005 when we had the Electricity Sector Reform Act that bundled our PHCN and co. were into this GENCOs, DISCOs, TRANSCOs, yeah. So with the belief that that policy effort will lead to privatization, and we'll be having 24 hours electricity today. So, but what has happened? What just happened recently, where the government had to take over some of these DISCOs for debt and inefficiency? I think it was just the Enugu DISCO and the Lagos DISCO, and just that survived. So it's an indirect admittance of failure. Failure in policy articulation, failure in policy implementation. So when there's no power, when we talk of poverty, poverty, that's the power situation. We make people enjoy less of the quality of life. You don't have power. Even if you put on gen, that's momentary. You can't run gen forever. And again, you'll be polluting. Yes, you'll be polluting your environment, be causing noise and the rest of that. And in terms of profitability, even more, I know some people who work in the banks now, and they tell you that they've cut down the number of hours they use their gen, and so on. So where would that come from? And the policy about making businesses to thrive, it's something that still boils down to all these things we have been discussing. There needs to be strong macroeconomic reforms that will make it so that people can be able to do business in this country, productively. Sometimes I tell people that the problem is not that inflation is rising or exchange rate is rising. No, the thing is, it is doing so erratically. Normally, if the government wants to prepare a budget, there are some assumptions it makes about all these figures: inflation, unemployment, exchange rates, population growth rate, and so on and so forth. The essence is for it to plan around it. So when people understand that, okay, the government has placed inflation at maybe 12%, for instance, exchange rate at 380, for instance. So you know that at least for this period, in the interim period, anybody who is into importation, we know that this is, when he's making his plans, we know that this is what they have said dollar will be like. Anybody who is into marketing or this, we know this is what inflation has been said to be like. But when these things are moving uncontrollably, when you have this kind of instability, it will affect everything.
Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Tell us your name.
My name is Esther.
Where are you calling us from?
My name is Esther. I'm calling from Imo State.
All right, go ahead.
Hello.
Go ahead, we are
I'm
listening.
calling from Imo State.
All right, go ahead, we are listening.
The thing about is our problem of poverty we are facing in this country. From my own point of view, the cause of everything is our leaders. They are not doing the right thing. If they do the right thing, they will provide jobs to the youth and fight the insecurity and everything. At least there will be a lesser of poverty. So at least people can know where they are. Okay, look at now. Because of that lack of jobs, the youth are sitting at home, also strike, everything. That's why you see the insecurity in present day because they are not happy the way things are going. So I read our leaders, they just try to do something. Before they enter that city, they will tell us they will do this, they will provide infrastructure, 1 million job, all these kind of things. But at the end of the day, we see nothing. Poverty increases every day by day. What are they taking also? And the people that are suffering it is the poor masses. Them sitting there. They're only after their own family, but their selfish interest, which is not good. That's why all these things are happening.
Thank you so
Look
much
at
for
now,
your
people cannot even
contributions.
go to their farm. People cannot walk on the road safely without because of insecurity. Everywhere.
All right,
It's a
thank you.
bit of nothing.
Yes, thank you so much for your contributions this morning. Just as we're rounding up, Mike, now what's the way forward? Now, a lot of people, some people actually talked about youth empowerment. I know that we've blamed government. They have not really done what they are supposed to do as the government of this nation. But then again, are there ways the rich ones, because we are talking about poverty, that's the poor ones, are there ways the rich ones in our society can actually help to alleviate the plight of the poor ones?
Yes. Certainly, there are many ways, for the rich ones to do that, helping the government, when the government is doing their own bit, the rich ones will contribute, and because why the rich ones will contribute is, certainly is because if the government is favorable to what they do, because sometimes if you give them so much tax that after the tax, they will just be struggling to survive. You see that they are just looking at if they are rich, but they are paying so much tax. So if the government is, is working with them, not, trying to skin them, it wouldn't work out. But certainly there are rich people in our country that can assist. The other day, that was last week or 2 weeks ago, there was somebody in Anambra State that donated laptops to a ministry.
Ministry of Transport.
Yes, to Anambra State here. So these are some of the ways. Some other big people they employ people. These are other big companies or other individuals that are rich. They engage in employing people. And that is what the government is supposed to assist, or some other individuals, in a sense that we can say, or they can come out, 5, 10 companies can say, okay, we need this number of people to be employed. They can come to ABS, and ABS will advertise it and organize it, and those people will be employed to those various companies. It is done in so many countries of the world, yes. So organize it through an outfit like ABS. ABS will take it up and say, we need this group of people, this grade of people to work in this place and this place and this place, and they will be interviewed. Let them make it public so that people will know and give them exactly what they want. So individuals can do that. I know that many individuals in Nigeria are doing it, but it is not enough. Yes. And I want to say that our people should learn, even the government, both federal and state, should learn to solve problems before it becomes emergency. Because most of the time we wait until when something becomes an emergency, like this youth empowerment. It has become an emergency now that most of these youths are now, they are terrorizing or they are doing one thing or the other that is odd. The Yahoo boys, most of these are youths. So the government should try, and our big people, to intervene before anything becomes emergency. Once it is an emergency, it's almost out of control.
Okay. No studies on your smiling. All right.
Because of Yahoo.
We really.
I want to tell you, look, it may sound strange, assuming we didn't have Yahoo and maybe all this betting and school that is keeping these people distracted or occupied. By now, nobody will not be moving about freely in this country.
All right. I want to say a very big thank you to both of you. Mike Odumodu, thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you very much, and thank you, our viewers.
All right, Nonso Ekestilbi, thank you so much for being here with us.
It's a pleasure.
Well, that's it on the show this morning. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Chedima Oramwa. See you again tomorrow. Bye.